Good afternoon, everyone. Lesley Myrick here, interior designer and business coach with Profit Insiders Coaching. Today, we get to talk to the fabulous Carleen Lamy of C2 Accounting about something that sounds kind of unsexy, but I think actually is very sexy, and that is financial boundaries, but really why they matter, how they
Right.
protect your business. So, welcome, Carleen. It's good to have
Thank
you
you.
here.
Thank you. And how did you make that sound so interesting? Financial boundaries. Yeah, you're good at that.
Because I have learned that boundaries are freedom, and that when you are protecting your time, your finances, your energy, whatever it is, it actually allows you to do more and thrive. And I know it's very backwards,
Yes,
but I really believe that like boundaries do equal freedom for you. So
I agree.
let's talk about how a boundary, and I guess let's start with this. What would you consider a financial boundary? How would you define that?
Yes. So, in the since we are talking about interior designers, right? So, in the interior design world, the biggest financial boundary that pops to mind will be client funds that you haven't earned yet. So, if you're one of those amazing salespeople that can walk into someone's home and you walk out with $100,000 check, which I know people who could do that,
Yeah.
then you received money, but you haven't done anything to earn it. So that's not your money. So having a clear boundary of this goes over into a retainer and it sits there until we actually start doing the work or purchasing furniture, then you start drawing down on those funds. And so that's the biggest boundary. I think people tend to really get freaked out about that. Like, what's mine and what's a client's?
So I love that. I thought you were going to say, like, your boundary is you get paid before you do work. And yes, that is one too. But I didn't realize this was going to be about like your internal business financial boundaries. And
Mm,
I love that, knowing what's yours and what's not, especially if you are taking a lump payment up front that's going to cover X number of weeks or months of work. You're right. If you go ahead and spend that money, absorb it into your business, and something goes south with that project,
yes,
you put yourself in a real pickle.
you have. And I've seen people put themselves in a real pickle, and it always comes back to bite you in the butt. It never fails.
Okay, so I love that boundary. Internally, if you've collected client funds, they need to be put aside somewhere safe and
Yes.
only used as they should appropriately be distributed, not I just got a big windfall and mama's going to go buy a new computer with all this cash.
Exactly. Right. No, we're not going to do that. Another boundary, which you kind of touched on that I hadn't thought of until just now,
Mm.
was like you said, getting paid for the work that you're doing. And I think in the same vein, having some sort of change order or adjustments process so that if a client, if you're on site and they're like, hey, can you also look at this? Sure. However, that's a change order and we're going to bill for it. Right. And I
Yes.
will say, even myself as a owner of a bookkeeping firm, we had a hard time doing that at first. And then we've also internally have done that because you love people, you just want to help. And we do. However, this is a business, so you have to make sure you're getting paid.
Well, and I think the scope creep thing gets a bad rap because initially I think the perception was, oh, they're trying to get more out of me, blah, blah, blah. I don't think that's the case. I don't think most clients ask for more because they're trying to manipulate. They love working with you and they want more of you. And it is perfectly appropriate to say, I would love to help you with that powder room, Mrs.
Hmm.
Smith. Let me pull together a proposal for you. I'll send over a contract revision and we'll get going. That's a great boundary to have. Like, you don't have to do all this work for free and not get paid for it.
Exactly. And if you have it in your contract up front so they understand like this is what the scope of work is.
Mhm.
Anything outside of these things is considered extra. It's considered a change order. So they're not surprised when you're like, sure. And also let's sign off on it, right? And also, get their signature because just sometimes verbally having someone agree to something, like maybe the husband said yes, but the wife didn't. The wife said yes, the husband didn't. Get a signature so you protect yourself. I mean,
That is a good boundary, having
yeah.
obviously signature on contracts, but we have it in our business that every invoice obviously has clear terms, non-refundable, here's return policy, which there really isn't one. And I have the client sign it because we have to have that boundary. We have to
Yeah.
make sure everyone is clear about the money that's changing hands, the expectation of what's being delivered for that price. So
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah. It can get very fuzzy, I think, and especially when you're a newer business owner, regardless of the industry, where you're just so excited to have a client and you all of this goes over your head. So the thing is, when you start a business, making sure that you treat it like a business from day one and
Mhm.
start thinking about these things. There's no way for you to know everything. So researching, talking to people who's been in the business longer than you, listening to podcasts, getting a coach, hiring a
Yes.
bookkeeper, like all
Hiring
the
a
things,
bookkeeper who
right?
knows this world. Yeah.
Right. All the things that you need to do to protect yourself, because interior design is not an inexpensive industry. So you're always talking kind of big tickets, high dollar amounts. So if something weird happens with when you're talking 50,000, it's very different than 500.
Mhm.
So you really want to make sure you have your ducks in a row.
I love it. So tell me what's another boundary. So we've got the idea of like boundaries around you've collected money, you got to protect it. You
Hmm.
want approval on purchases of goods, making sure when that, or even services, when that money changes hands, it is very clear what the expectations are. So there's no misinterpreting there. What
Yes.
other boundaries do you, well, first of all, let's start with what boundaries do you see being violated a lot or not in place that are causing designers pain?
I will say not a lot of designers, but I've seen a few deal with chargebacks or
Ooh.
yeah. So when a client refuses to charge, and that's a problem because you wake up one morning and your bank account is less 30,000 and you're like, whoa, what
Yeah.
happened? So then this gets into legality and having ironclad contracts to make sure stuff like that doesn't happen, which is not my area of expertise at all. But making sure that, again, if you're going to have people sign contracts, is this a contract that ChatGTP wrote for you, or did you actually have a licensed attorney in your state?
Yeah.
Not just sometimes what you've gotten off the internet, but even if you get one off the internet, can you have someone in your state look at it to make sure it's applicable to your laws? Because that way, if someone does try to dispute a charge that you put on the card for invoice that they already signed for,
Yes.
you have recourse.
I love that. That paper trail is a very strong boundary. Making
Yes.
sure that you have things documented clearly, and the contract one is a good point, Carleen. I love my Chat GPT, and I will be honest, there have been times I have run my contract through that just to see if there's any new policies I should add or things that should be
Yes.
improved, but they always get then run by a local attorney because
Right,
that's
which is the cost-effective way of doing it, right? Instead of having them draft it from scratch, but have an attorney that you feel comfortable with that you can get that service done.
yeah, I like that. Okay, so avoid that. What are maybe a couple boundaries, simple ones? Like I think we got to start with the simple that
Okay.
you would suggest designers put in place if they don't already have it.
Have a process for a simple one, but having a separate bank account. Kind of going back to the very first one,
Yes.
knowing what's
Oh, I
yours
love
and what's the
that
client's, just have a separate bank account. That
for
makes it
your
very
business.
clear for your business, right? So you have a bank, well, not only just a separate a banking account for your business, but for client funds. So
There we go.
that
Okay. So
you're
within your
having,
business bank account, it is not just one giant pool you pull
yes.
from. You have a separate account earmarked client funds, and those don't get distributed anywhere until the appropriate.
Exactly. And of course, a lot of people are using credit cards to pay for things. I had a call today, a financial review call today for a client, and she has just implemented a second card just for client funds. And so she has one for operating. One, it helped her realize, even
Yeah.
though we go over the financial reports, seeing that helped her realize how much she was spending on her operations. But having that, you know that, okay, this card here is being paid for that client fund account, so it's very clean. And you also know, like, when you have extras or you're running low, and you can kind of evaluate, well, I thought I was supposed to have 10,000, but for some reason the card's 10,000, my bank account's only 7. Well,
Yeah.
now it's maybe time to go back and see what happened.
What's going
You
on?
know, right? Did you not bill something? Was there something that the client didn't pay for? Like, weird things just happen, and that just helps to have another set of eyes on it.
Well, I like that a bank account is like a physical boundary. Like there is money bound in here for one job and bound in here for another job. And then it is kind of idiot proof to know, like, oh, in my operating account, I only have X. Like I can't
Right.
spend this amount. Or,
Exactly.
hey, in the client account, something's wrong. I have a bill for 10,000. I only have 7. So it can really open your
Exactly.
eyes faster to financial issues, having those bank account boundaries.
Right. And it's all about clarity. I mean, a lot of this sounds like What really do I need to do that? No, you don't need to. But if you want clarity, and sometimes having a simple system actually makes it easier
Yeah.
once you get used to it, right? It seems like it's going to be a lot of work up front, but the peace of mind, which we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Peace of mind, whatever's going to work for you. And here's the thing, we're going to probably give you like 5 or 6 of these today, right? But
Yeah.
pick something that works for you. And it could be something we didn't even talk about that might work for someone else, but definitely figure out what's going to give you as a business owner peace of mind.
I like that. So if there's been any financial messiness in your business before, one example I have that ties into this, Carleen, and this was years ago, I overspent client funds and I couldn't pay a vendor. And I was humiliated. And gratefully, it was a local vendor. I had a good relationship. We worked it out. But that was a moment where I went, okay, something's got to change. I need to have better boundaries around my money, how this is organized, how I'm using it. So I am sure designers watching, there's probably something that's happened where you're like, yeah, that did. And it's the best thing. Start there. Fix that one little thing. Add that boundary into your business. And I love that you talk about peace of mind, because these boundaries give you freedom to do your best work and peace of mind that everything is handled behind the scenes.
Exactly. And I would just say being honest with yourself as a business owner, knowing what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are, and not being afraid to ask for help or support. Because sometimes I know if you were the person who never balanced a checkbook, you've never had to deal with money at all, and then now you're running a business and there's a lot of money involved, it could be very mentally overwhelming. So understanding if that's you and not being afraid to just raise your hand and be like, hey, can I just get some support? Just at least initially so I can understand what I don't know.
Yes. I love it. Money is such a sticky topic, and I'm grateful that there are wonderful people like you, Carleen, who like money and like helping designers with money, because this is something I am grateful for my support team financially. And if there's people watching going like, yeah, I don't really know what to do and I need help, Carleen is your woman. She's phenomenal. So Carleen,
thank you.
C2 Accounting. The website is c2-accounting.com. That's correct?
Correct. That is correct.
Reach out to her, book a call. Don't let money messiness steal your peace and joy and stress you the heck out, because this business is hard enough without money issues running in the background.
I would have to agree.
Awesome. Carleen, thank you so much. This was great advice. It definitely has me thinking about like, what boundaries do I have in place that I haven't even realized I've officially put, and what might be missing that I should look into?
Well, one, thank you for having me. But two, that was a good point you made, because it's not a one and done. Yeah. Because as your business evolves, matures, the systems you had in place 5 years ago may not be working today. So making sure that you're always going back and reevaluating.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you again. C2 Accounting is the business. Carleen is the woman behind the business. And we appreciate you, Carleen. We'll see you back here next month.
Thank you. Have a great one.